little over and under for 35 minutes. So, you can't start it until we get the mic fixed and, everything. So we'll see how it goes. But as I started looking at the information and so forth that Ross Marone, Ron Cole, Becky Rose, that whole team put together, it's amazing what you've accomplished. It's amazing all of the wonderful opportunities we have. It's amazing the significant challenges we have. And so we're going to try to move through it as quickly as we can. But first, we'd like to introduce our new Board of Trustees members, two of which are here, and one is not here today. But the one that's not here is Dr. Sogurl Erzurum, and she is an ophthalmologist and vice president of Eye Care Associates. Her term runs through 2031. She just got appointed for a 9-year term. With us today, Laura Lydon, who is the Sales and Operations Manager and Corporate Secretary of Lydon Oil Company. Her term runs through April 30th of 2026. So, Laura, if you could stand up so we could welcome you to the YSU family. And our new student trustee is Julie Senafani, junior biology major, and her term runs through April of 2024. Julie, stand and be recognized. You'll hear a little bit more about Julie here in a few moments. These three young ladies that I just introduced have extraordinary talents. What they've done in their careers and their young careers to date is nothing less than extraordinary, and we so appreciate that they would take the time. As a reminder, our Board of Trustees members are non-paid boards that spend many, many hours, and they do so because they care deeply about Youngstown State University, and they believe in the importance of the university to the region and the state and all the rest. We also have some of our current board members here. If you could hold your applause. Mike Peterson, Chuck George, and Molly Seals. Put a hand for them. And speaking of boards, I always like to give you a little scoop. The University of Virginia Health System just named their new board chair. And it happens to be a graduate of YSU, and I think it was called Neo-UCOM at the time. Dr. Baber Latif was just named that extraordinary honor of being the board chair of the UVA Health System. So we have extraordinary folks that come out of Youngstown State University. So we're really excited about our new faculty members. And we had a chance to put them through, Jen, about 8 hours on Monday and a few hours yesterday, and they're so excited to be here. It was so much fun to get to know them, and I'd like to introduce them, and some of which are here, and so they'll stand and remain standing. Please hold your applause. Sabrina Calley in health professions. All of these are new full-time faculty. Jae-Hoon Choi, Management and Marketing. John DeSantis, Rayen School of Engineering. David Frank, Psychological Sciences and Counseling. Desalyn Gayo, Social Work. Adam Howard, Dana School of Music and University Theater. Belial Kalkan, Psychological Sciences and Counseling. Sarah Marathi, Senafani School of Nursing. Sharice Mashishka, Senafani School of Nursing. Christopher Mela, Rayen School of Engineering. Stefan Moldovan, Rayen School of Engineering. Charles Morgan, Social Work. Salim Ramadan, Rayen School of Engineering. Rodney Rock, Teacher Education and Leadership Studies. Ghassan Salim, Rayen School of Engineering. And Lee Su, Chemical and Biological Sciences. Oh, I guess I have some more here. Charles Van Dyke, Criminal Justice and Consumer Sciences. Jennifer Walker, Senefani School of Nursing. Gloria Zhang, Accounting and Finance. How about a hand for this new group of our faculty? We're so glad you're here. So, speaking of faculty, we want to talk about some of our faculty successes. And we would be way over 35 minutes if we talked about all of the faculty successes. And so we picked out a few that we wanted to highlight here this morning. As a collective group, our faculty had a 12-year high of nearly $11 million in grant activity this past year. 96 different grants were awarded to our extraordinary faculty, and we're awfully, awfully proud of that. A couple that you'll see, I guess I need to move the slide. Oh, okay, I'm a little behind, guys. Okay. All righty. Technical difficulties. Dr. Kristen Bruns, who received a grant for her bouncing back from COVID-19. It was to re-engage the YSU campus and our students in wellness from a holistic lens. You see Dr. Nancy Landgraf on the screen, and she was selected as the second endowed chair in leadership. Is Nancy here? Is Kristen here? They could wave. Nancy, you can wave. There you go. And Dr. Amy Weaver is the inaugural Patricia McGovern Sweeney Professor in Nursing. Is Dr. Weaver here? She's watching from afar. Probably the thing that has been most exciting to me is to see the amazing amount of collaborative successes that we've had. People from the faculty, the staff, students getting engaged, the board members, the administration, all working together to try to figure out each and every day, how can we improve? How can we serve our students better? How can we serve our community better? How can we make a difference that everyone expects us to do? And so the first one I wanted to talk a little bit about is CRM Recruit, which is a new platform that has streamlined the application process and the communication to our prospective students, whether they be undergraduate students, graduate students, the amazing amount of work that our people have done to get financial aid packages out quickly, to get acceptance packages out quickly. It's a competitive world we live in, and our people have done a great job implementing this platform of CRM Recruit. The second one, right there in the middle, is CRM Advise. And again, it's a platform to help us do college-based advising and mentoring. It's a platform that facilitates targeted, immediate communication so that we can get to the needed conversations, the needed alerts, all of those type things quickly. The hardest thing it is for a student or a faculty member or an advisor is to have a lag time in something that we should address. And so this CRM Advise, along with the total redesign of our advising, has really given us the opportunity over the last 8 years to move from about a 64% retention of first-year students to second year to nearly 80. I don't know where Claire is, or we're darn close to 80%, 16% increase in our retention, a lot of which has to do with the CRM Advise. And again, it has to be done collaboratively. The faculty is involved. The advisors are involved. Everyone that touches the student. Someone on campus that might see a need that a student have getting involved and alerting us that someone needs some attention, someone needs some guidance, and it's been an extraordinary thing for us. The third one there is that Penguin Pass, and that's a degree audit system. It's a visual checklist for our students so they can easily see what courses they need to move toward graduation. Their major courses, their electives, if they're in a minor, if they're in a capstone. What do they need to complete in their gen ed? And as I've talked with some of the students, they have really appreciated the ability to go on quickly, find out what is it I need to get done, and then they can go and meet with their advisor and their faculty mentors and so forth to make sure we get that done. And that, too, has been an amazing collaborative effort on this campus. And then the fourth one is a huge one, the HLC Midpoint Assurance. Many of you can remember about 5 years ago, Kevin Ball and Tysa and Hillary and everyone putting it together that we would have our 10-year accreditation. And they worked extremely hard, and so did everyone in their departments and the committees that were put together. And I think the assurance argument was 35,000 words, only because we were limited by 35,000 words, and about 9,000 links. And our folks did a great job of having us 5 years ago in that accreditation process in the 21 criteria, meet 20 of them with no reservations, and one that just needed a little bit of attention. And then they began preparing for that midpoint assurance. We had to assure the HLC that we were addressing the one that they asked us to do, which was program review, but we were also staying up to date with what we were doing on the other 20 that we had proven that we had a good program in. And so year number 4, midpoint assurance, we got our results back. I remember being on a conference call, or Zoom or whatever, they told Kevin Ball, somewhere between July 4th and 7th, look in your phone. And I'm thinking, he's going to be at a picnic and he's going to get a phone from HLC. But he got alerted that our midpoint assurance was with no reservations, no concern, and you talk about a collaborative effort. How about a hand for everybody for that? That's huge. Another one that you may not be aware of is the Collegiate Purple Star Award, which is given for campuses that make efforts to support students with military backgrounds, which is so critical. They might have different needs than maybe our typical student body. And so we were awarded that Collegiate Purple Star. Again, it's a collaborative thing. It's how do they have a chance to interact with their faculty, their advisors, all of the people in the student activities area, all of the people over there in the Veterans Resource Center. And so we were awarded the Collegiate Purple Star once again. 2 here that you see on the screen now that we collaboratively worked hard to be awarded. The Changing Campus Culture, 5 stars, is we were 5 for 5 with what the Ohio Department of Higher Education put together in changing cultures on campus in regards to sexual violence. And about 3 years ago or so, we were at 2 stars. And people went to work. People, I think it was headed by Dana Lance and Cindy Kravitz and that whole crew, but collectively with everyone, and whether it's in housing or it's in the faculty or it's in the staff or whatever, everyone worked together so that we would move from being a 2-star to a 5-star, which is darn significant in my mind. And then the Ohio Sunshine Laws, the STARS rating system, and thanks to our board in part for this, for the 2nd consecutive year, we had a top rating of 4 stars. The Ohio Auditor of State rates open and transparency of government, fulfilling the state sunshine laws, including Ohio Public Records Act and the Ohio Open Meetings Act. So it's a heck of a job for us to be 4 for 4 from that standpoint. So the next one is a little bit above my pay grade, and Jim Yukich put this together. And so it's a tough one for me, but it's critical. We've had, as urged by our board, to have people come in constantly to our board meetings to update them that we're doing all we can do to mitigate the risks in cybersecurity. We all know personally, I don't know how many different times your stuff but I get alerts all the time, and I'm sure you do. Well, can you imagine the cyber risk, if you will, for a university and the whole ransomware part of that? One of the things that people from all over the world do is they target people who have resources. And universities have endowments, universities have large groups, they have large payrolls and so forth. And so as you look down at what we've been working hard on, and again collaboratively, because everyone has been asked to be a part of us being as safe as we can possibly be, reducing the threat by stolen usernames and passwords, the multi-factor authentication. I think we all went through that and made sure that we took care of that, and that's completed, and we appreciate everyone taking part. Reducing the potential threats caused by breached administrative privileges through offering advanced cyber tools and limiting highest level privileges. We hope to be done with that one, and again, with your cooperation and help by the end of December. Enforcing the university's acceptable use policy by migrating all the faculty, staff, contractors, and board members to the university protected at ysu.edu for conducting your university business. We can't use our own emails. It's a little bit too easy of a gateway into the risk of the entire institution. And so that's something that we hope we can have in place by May of 2023. That's a personal decision all of us need to make on behalf of the institution. And then lastly, enforcing the university's storage of electronic data policy, making sure that we have the encrypted cloud storage, making sure all of our university business, all of our research, all of our data is protected, and we need to continue to work on that, and our goal is to have that well underway in May of 2023. But this is a big deal. Ransomware, once they get in and you're in the midst of that, we have a plan. Our board has put a plan together for how are we going to face something if we're in a ransom situation. And fortunately, we have good expertise on our board in those areas. We've brought in people from the outside to give us guidance, and probably in my 48 years in higher education, the biggest change is the IT world. We just, we had a chalkboard when I went to school, and now it's amazing all that goes on in cyberspace, that there is so much risk. We've got to take special attention to make sure we're making YSU the safest place it can be. So community engagement. As our board has challenged us to take charge of our future, we've been working hard for, almost the last 2.5 years on strategic planning, trying to see how we can be as impactful as we can be, how we can be sustainable, how we can handle all those challenges. And one of the huge areas that is a part of our strategic plan is regional impact. As you look at how we're evaluated, a study was done a couple years ago about the impact of the 14 public universities in our state, and it was a financial impact, which we're nearly $1 billion a year of financial impact, which is great. But those things outside of the financial impact, those community impact things. And what was fun when that study done by someone in Oregon, so they didn't have any reason to look at one school good over the other, we were in the top 1 or 2 of all the schools in the state for our impact socially. And so that always has been something you've worked hard on, we've worked hard on. It's something that's a part of our strategic plan going forward, and regional impact has got to be something that we take great pride in. So one of the things that Amy Costantino and her group has been working on is getting the Carnegie designation, which is an elective classification for community engagement. It's the highest distinction that you can seek. And as being one of our three main parts of our strategic plan, we want to be the best at it. We've decided that's important to our region and to our institution. There's only 361 universities that have that Carnegie classification. And so we take great pride in seeking it. We want to be the 362nd out of the thousands and thousands of universities. And so the neat thing about the Carnegie classification is we have to be able to show why we would be deserving of that classification. So one of the things that have gone into play, and I think you've seen messages from Amy and the group, is Penguin Pulse. And Penguin Pulse is our platform so that we can collect the data of all of the amazing community impact we have. And it's amazing how much we do, as evidenced by that study. But courses, how do they impact? Research, how does that impact? Internships, co-ops, capstones, community service activities directly into the community. You know, things like the United Way that we did just this past, was that Saturday? This past Saturday, where we had about 70 YSU employees and maybe a few students, making sure that we could feed 422 families here in our city, packing the boxes, loading the things, driving them out, and so forth. Well, we do things like that all year long. Every college does, every student organization does. We do a lot of that. Penguin Pulse gives us an opportunity and a platform to make sure that we can identify that. And then when we're seeking our Carnegie classification, we will have the data needed to do that. And there's no question about it. The impact we have on our community, I think, is unmatched anywhere. And Penguin Pulse, I think, will get us a better opportunity to really show that in real numbers. The next thing is the Division of Workforce Education and Innovation. We just opened up last July 27th, and as we were dreaming about it 7 years ago with our engineering faculty and our board and our administrative staff, we kept hearing from the local businesses that workforce was an important thing, and the students maybe who started college and maybe decided not to complete or wanted to get to work so they could afford to put money away to go to college needed some opportunities to get connected for training so that they could begin their professional careers. And the other thing that we dreamed about was we really wanted to be a leader in research and commercialization, especially in the areas of advanced manufacturing. With America Makes right here and YBI right here, the opportunities, the blessings that we have with those, we needed to be a big part of that. So all of the hard work that the people did to go to the state and get funding, to go to the EDA and get funding, to go to the Appalachian Region Commission and get funding, to have our faculty go out and write grants that would leverage that funding so that we could get the ability to equip the building. And so it really has so much to do with all of the parts of our strategic plan, with our academic distinction, discovery of knowledge, happening right there in Coley Hall, Excellence Training Center. Obviously, our regional impact to help businesses train the folks, and our Student Futures part of the strategic plan, giving our students a chance to have their futures be brighter. And just in 1 year, the Excellence Training Center has 25 employees, all on external funding, which to me is amazing. We've got 12 faculty who have been working and so forth to help us launch this, that have been fortunate to get a little bit of supplemental income while they're doing it, to help teach and to help us progress. We've issued over 2,000 industry credentials in 1 year, which is a benefit to our business and industry here. And we always remind ourselves, we know that our key is the people that live here. This will always be the number one part of our student body, will be people that live in the region. And so if we can help train the workers in the region and have families send their children here, that bodes well for the sustainability of Youngstown State. We've had $600,000 in state-funded scholarships for people that have worked through the Excellence Training Center. We've had dozens and dozens of youth camps to get young people to be interested in science and technology and see that the world is changing. The work world is not their grandfather's manufacturing. It's all about manufacturing from your mind. Groups like Ultium, you've heard of Ultium, which is the combination of LG Chem and GM putting the battery plant. They've asked the Excellence Training Center to be the ones that recruit, train, and get ready their 2,000 employees. Foxconn has come to us through the Excellence Training Center, wanting to do some training, wanting us to get involved, wanting our faculty to get involved. Coming soon, we have a new program that I don't know if Tom Wakefield and his group are here, but we spent a couple days out at Purdue, and they wanted us to consider being partners in their data mine program, which is taking students of all disciplines, having them get involved in some data mining projects on behalf of companies. The companies would pay us to have our students take their data and see if they could find out some things from their data that maybe the company itself didn't have the staff to do or didn't have the expertise. And Tom Wakefield and his group, I think, already have 17 students who are going to get ready to be a part of Data Mine as a partner with Purdue beginning this fall. And then the last thing that's tied into the Division of Workforce Education Innovation, and I think Greg Morgione, I'm allowed to talk about this. Is Greg here? The Williamson Innovation Park? Can I talk about it? Okay. You always have to check with your legal counsel. So through the unbelievable work of the YSU Foundation working with the Williamson family, Bud Williamson has this dream of having young people in the region spend time on science and problem solving and thinking and so forth. So he's donated 200 acres, built buildings, built a runway, has ponds for our concrete canoe team, has unlimited opportunities for us, has given us an endowment to be able to maintain the property. One of the things, people try to give us things a lot, but we can't afford to maintain them. Well, we were given quite a tidy sum. I probably can't say what that is yet, right, Greg, or can I? If you want to. Okay. Yeah, being careful. This is broadcast all over the world, so it's about a $3.5 million endowment, correct, Paul? That will give us the chance to have the 4% that comes from that each year to take care of the operations of it. And we're only going to be limited by our creativity. Having students work out there. We've even talked to the student government about, we've got 200 acres. We've got a food pantry we care deeply about. Hey, why don't we start a big garden? So I think they wanted to start with a small garden. So they weren't here studying farming. But anyway, there's going to be so many neat things. Stay tuned on that. We're getting moving on that. And so creating that division that helps us work with the faculty, work with the colleges, work with the community, work with business and industry, to me is a huge victory for us. And we're awfully proud of what they've done and anxious to find out what more they can do. So our students are what it's all about, and again, the 35-minute thing, I'm almost to the point there, so I've lost. The bet was a piece of Republic pizza, so I'm going to lose the piece. Ross, what flavor? Whatever you like. But you're going to win the bet. Okay, all right. So anyway, we could stand here all day and talk about our student success. We could have all the faculty and administrators that are here from their colleges say, hey, what about this person? What about that person? And so there's dozens and dozens. One that we wanted to highlight was pretty cool this past summer is Corey Brazina and Hazel Marie were working with a group after they garnered an NSF grant, which is 4 years worth of projects being funded, and this group pictured were the ones that did the first year's project, and Corey and Hazel were working with Notre Dame on this project because South Bend is a little bit like Youngstown, very similar histories, similar challenges, and so forth. And so they're working with Notre Dame, they're working with the Economic Action Group here locally, and they did, I was at their presentation. I don't even want to pretend that I know what they were doing, but they were trying to figure out through their technology that they put on automobiles as they drove around the city, which of the streets needed fixed the most. And it was crazy what they were able to do, and you could see their excitement as they presented. You could see Notre Dame's excitement as they watched their partners' presentations, and these young people are having amazing opportunities. The faculty did a great job leading them, and that's just one of the individual student successes. And we want to talk a little bit about the collective ones because there's, again, more than we have time to talk about. But the Ethics Bowl that you see up there won the Central Region for the 6th straight time and made for the 7th straight year to nationals. The Concrete Canoe team there in the middle won the Eastern Great Lakes region, and they were 4th in the nation. And it was the only, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Wim, the only all-female concrete canoe team in the country. It was pretty cool. The Baja team were 14th in the international competition in the whole globe. And they were #1 of all the schools in Ohio. I won't, since we're going worldwide, I won't call out the people we beat, but we beat them all here in Ohio, and that was a pretty cool thing. Not pictured, but as significant, our Penguin Steel Bridge team was #1 in the region, and 34 teams made it to nationals, and we were 7th, which is darn good. And the group that runs the Gwinathon, which is the dance marathon that all the funds go to Akron Children's Hospital, for the 6th straight year they earned more, and they earned $72,253.18 for Akron Children's Hospital, and had a lot of fun as they were doing it. A couple other student success things. Our board member here, Julie Sanafani, was one of 2 people from Ohio that won the Charles J. Ping Student Service Legacy Award for Leadership and Community Service. It'll be a good thing, Amy, to go toward our Carnegie application there. Tumi Adeko, for I think the 3rd straight year, Wim, we had the National Intern of the Year for the 3rd straight year, and that's given by the Cooperative Education and Internship Association nationally. And Toomey was our 3rd straight. They call that on YSU's campus a three-peat. And we did a great job there. And then our athletics programs represented us extremely well. 14 of the 21 teams placed in the top 3 in the conference, so they were obviously successful. 9 of the teams were conference champions, and 6 of the teams went on to postseason, plus a number of individuals did as well. Not pictured there, that we just got recent notification, Becky Rose just brought this to me the other day, Lovie Hicks, who's a U.S. Navy veteran, Latia Richard, an Army National Guard member, were both selected as Focus Forward Fellowship at Purdue University, which is a national mentoring program, highly selective, and 2 of our students were selected for that. And we could go on as we go, but we're going to move quickly to campus improvements. The Watson Team Center What'd I do? We're good? Okay, you're waving at me.
The one to the right. On the right side.
Oh, yeah, well. That happens to all of us. Eventually we crumble. But the Watson Team Center, which John Hayden, who's sitting up here, promised me would be done August 1st. It's looking like it might be a day or two after that. But the Watson Team Center is going to house our 9 engineering teams, of which you heard about the excellence of a number of them, and is going to be a great place for our students to get together, to work on their projects, to get their collective minds together, to spend time together, and we're excited about that. You know, every summer, Neil McNally and John Hyde and Rich White and that group all put our capital funding from the state to work with about $10 million worth of just normal stuff that you don't see, whether it's roofs or restrooms or HVAC or laboratories or whatever. And we get that funding from the state. The project for the Watson Team Center was totally outside funding through the YSU Foundation and our donors, and so we're awfully proud of that. The one in the middle is Kilcawley Center, and I've been proud of John and Joy and all the people who have been a part of that year-long study of what should we be thinking about for a student center. It was built in 1964, the first part of it, and then there was a little addition in 71. So far none of you were born. Then in 79, and then not till 2005 did we open the rec center. And so it's at the stage where the building, it's time to go. And so they've done a great job of studying that. We're having conversations with the Board of Trustees, with the YSU Foundation, as to how can we go about starting over, if you will, and having a student center that will be one that meets the needs and the activities of today's students and not the ones from 1970s, and will also be a part of attracting students because the competition is great. Every school that we visited to look at their student centers, and I think it was Akron, Kent, Bowling Green, Toledo, you know, locally regional ones, Ohio State, they've all had something new since the 2000s. And we're back in the 70s. So stay tuned. We're working hard with our board to try to figure out how can we do this together. And it's an exciting time, and we appreciate everyone's help with it. Then the third one there, the M60 Parking Deck. I don't know what else to tell you about that, but, you know, everyone's wondering about, do we have enough parking? Well, you all know the brilliance of Danny O'Connell. That's a joke. Okay. Sorry, Danny. But we've been planning for this, Danny and John and that whole group of, that's why some of the new lots, like right between the Constantini Center and the Watts, that's been a new one. We've got different ones that we've added and so forth. So we think we're going to be fine. There's 2 or 3 other west of 5th Avenue right along the road that should be done by October 1st. See, John nodded. He always nods, but okay, I have witnesses. October 1st, you can park in those shiny new ones there across from across 5th Avenue. We have a 150-seat auditorium being built in Stambaugh Stadium. Again, private funding. YSU Foundation was able to come up with the funding through our wonderful donors. And also a physical therapy center being built in Beagley Center, and again, with private funding. And if you think about what collaboratively we've been able to do with the help of the YSU Foundation, with the help of public-private partnerships like the Edge and the Enclave and the Lofts and people who are willing to come in, we don't have the ability to build a whole bunch of new dormitories or new apartments and so forth. But we've had people come in and really bet on us. And to me, that's pretty cool. And I think over the last 7 or 8 years, we've probably had nearly $200 million of people come in and just, you know, whether it's the Excellence Training Center or Watson Team Center, whatever it happens to be, we've been fortunate to have people come in and believe in the importance and believe in the needs for our students and believe in YSU in general. So with that, I want to show you a slide as we begin. This is my last one, but I'm over my allotted 35 minutes. But this is really critical because, as I said at the outset, every fall I've ever walked into, I've been nervous, I've been excited, I felt good about the people around me, but I've also been very aware of the challenges. And one of the things that, as you see on this photo of the United States, is this is the forecast growth in students who will attend regional four-year institutions from 2012 to 2029. And the darker, does it look orangish red or whatever, is there's going to be a 15% or more drop in those areas. And not only are we in that area, but so are many of our surrounding states. I think we have roughly 20% of our students come from Western Pennsylvania. Well, they happen to be, in that demographic area that's going to be challenging. And I think, like anything else, whether I'm a faculty member, the most important thing I want to do is make sure my student understands here's the challenge. Here's what you have to learn. Here's what you have to master. Here's what you have to do to earn that grade or earn that degree or earn that job. And so we always have to keep in front of us the challenges that we have. It's not a new challenge, but if you put it in perspective, there's 111 institutions of higher ed in Ohio. 111. And a decreasing number of students projected to go to colleges. Add to that the online, where you don't have to be from Ohio. So it's a challenge. We understand that. The 13 main campuses that are four-year publics like ourselves, if you look at the last 5 years, 5 of them have held pretty steady. 8 of us have gone down from an enrollment standpoint. What's encouraging to me is we've gone down the least percentage of any of those 8. I think in large part, going back to those other slides, CRM Advise, revising the advising way that we do it, our scholarships, our affordability, our opportunities. I think we've been able to fight away at this challenge maybe better than some others because of that great work and those great opportunities. It's not a new challenge. I can remember coming in here in 2014 and a lot of the same things were being said. We had just gone down about 17% in enrollment. The demographics didn't look good. What were we going to do to handle that challenge? And I've been so proud watching our faculty and advisors and staff and so forth. At the time, our graduation rate was somewhere in the 33 to 34% range. Through the hard work of all the people in this room and all the people watching, we're now around 47, heading toward 50%. Huge change in graduation rate because of the work of the people. As we mentioned, our retention rate of our students who came in for their first year and then stayed was in the 64% range. And now it's in the 80% range. Again, we knew the challenge. We knew we had to do things differently. We knew that we had to invest a little bit differently so that we could have more success. And really, what that resulted in is Neil McNally will tell you that the only school in the state for this upcoming year that's going to have a 4% increase, is that right, Neil, in state subsidy, which is based upon your enrollment plus your completion, is Youngstown State. Everyone else is either right around zero or losing because of the work that you decided that we had to figure out a way to do this even better. You have to applaud our online growth. I don't know if you were on campus yesterday, but you had to notice the international growth. It was so much fun to see those smiling faces and And that's on its way up. Our student-athlete growth has been from 400 to 530 or whatever, right in that area. Our honors college, Amy Costantino and Lexi and Molly and all that crew over there, Jamont, and they've gone from 300 honors kids 8 years ago to 1,300 and something, around there, around 1,300, 1,280, 1,280, way more than 300. We'll leave it at that. But because they decided, you know what, we're going to do things a little bit differently. We're going to recruit a little bit differently. We're going to go after this a little bit differently. Thank goodness for the YSU Foundation. Just in our We See Tomorrow campaign, they added $72 million to our scholarship endowment, which gives our students the opportunity to not leave with all of the debt everyone's talking about. I think our yearly amount from the foundation 5 or 6 years ago was about $8 million, Heather, is that about right? And it's now going to be almost 11? You know, thank goodness for the work of the YSU Foundation. Our marketing people have worked with our colleges, have worked with our departments, our department chairs to do targeted marketing, to get to the people who have interest in what we have to offer. They've done a great job. I should back up and thank the foundation for one other thing. Thank goodness they took on the expense of our development operations. Most of our peer institutions spend about $3 to $6 million a year out of their central budget to raise money. We spend zero because of the YSU Foundation. You talk about a way that gives us a chance to succeed, and I appreciate Paul and Heather and that group stepping up 8 years ago and taking that to the board and then ducking their board. But they fought the fight for us, and we appreciate it. Our people in the enrollment area, and everyone's in the enrollment area, we all own enrollment, but the amount of interactions, the types of interactions, the time spent with parents, the time spent with prospective students has been outstanding. It's got to continue, but this challenge we had years ago is the similar challenge that we have today, and we were able to hang in there and have extraordinary outcomes by our students because everybody got together and was willing to look at ways to get it done. One of the new initiatives is the Ohio College Comeback Compact. Say that 3 times. The Ohio College Comeback Compact. Molly Burdett and her group and Jeannie and that whole bunch, Tysa, they're working on finding those students, and I think there's 1.5 million of them in Ohio, and I'm sure there's tens of thousands of them in Western PA that have some college, but they're not in college anymore. How can we attract them back? How can we get them to see that it could really enhance their futures if they come back to school? And they've been working really, really hard on that. And then lastly, I would tell you we handled that challenge that we had because we created housing. Students want somewhere to live, especially if they're from outside the area. We can see inside the area we have less people. We have to attract people from outside the area, whether it's online, international, bringing them to campus, getting them in the honors college, whatever it happens to be. That's what we have to do to handle the challenges. And so these challenges will continue. I mean, you can see it right there. There's no doubt about it. It's not going to let up. And honestly, that's what I found in my last life. Even if we won the national championship, the next year wasn't easy. Just the way life is. Well, the same thing I think is here. I think we've won a lot of championships by what all of you have done. But that doesn't mean the next season's easier. And so enrollment is our primary driver of revenue. And so anything we all can do to enhance enrollment is what it's all about. Every interaction we have with a current student, every interaction we have with someone who's looking for directions because they're wanting to come and see the campus. Enrollment is our primary driver. One of the realities of challenges is there are some public relations challenges right now. Higher education isn't always on the friendly side of discussions. Do we really need a four-year degree? Should a person have to go and sit in a seat for 4 years when there's all these jobs? Businesses are not going to wait to fill their workforce. It's going to be a challenge. We have to handle that. One of the challenges that I'm most disappointed that we haven't progressed as much as I would like is in the compensation of our workforce, our faculty, our people that you've heard all the extraordinary things they've done. We've got to make good decisions so we can compensate properly the people who are doing extraordinary work here, and that's something that's a challenge. Inflation has made it harder. There's no question about it. And so that's something that we've got to face as a challenge, and we've got to come up with solutions. Of course, we have to continue to assess our expenditures in every division. We have to assess our academic portfolio. We have to assess our efficiencies. A full classroom helps the good of the cause way better than a classroom that only has a few students. It's just a reality. I don't know if any of you have traveled lately, but the airplanes are full. When I was young, sometimes you'd be on an airplane, there'd be 10 people. No 10 people air flights anymore. That equation doesn't work, and we've got to make sure that we continue to work on that. We've got to utilize everything in the tool bag. VSRPs, study of what the needs are. What should we be investing in? What are the things that could attract more enrollment? What are the things that could attract more research dollars, more grants? We have extraordinary challenges. We've shown that we can meet those challenges. Now they become even a little harder. And we have the right people on the team to be able to do that. And so I have thoroughly enjoyed these 8 years of learning what a university is all about. I spent about 38 years thinking I knew something about a university and realized I didn't. And I've appreciated all that I've learned from all of you and all of the willingness you've had to roll your sleeves up and figure out for a way for us to be great. And I know we'll continue to do that as we begin another semester. With that, we don't want to lose sight and relax on the fact that safety is really important. When families send their children here, the most important thing is that they're safe. And so we've got to make sure that we don't lose sight of that. We talk to our students about if you don't feel well, you don't come to class, or talk to one another. If you don't feel well, you don't come to work. And that the mystery of what went on with the COVID a couple years ago, I'm sure that mystery continues. And so we've got to make sure that we're still continuing, that every penguin takes care of the other, and that we're taking care of the penguins that have been really given to us so that their dreams could be realized. And if we'll do that, I know we have the talent, the fortitude, and really the ingenuity to meet these tremendous challenges. And I will enjoy being in the trenches there with you probably till February 1st. So with that, God bless you. Go Penguins. Have a wonderful year.